I am Grace. So happy that you are here. No matter what time it is for you in the world, we are going to be doing a nice little hip opener flow. And I'll be showing you some modifications that you can use, some of these hip opener flows. So let's begin. Diving in gently and kindly, closing your eyes. And dive into the inner being. And begin to move into belly breath awareness. So we're going to be moving into breath awareness, but we're going to be breathing into this lower abdomen. So it's going to be a little different than breath awareness because we are going to be controlling it a little. We're going to bring it down to the belly. This is the most natural, the healthiest way to breathe. And we want to train our bodies, if they're not breathing this way, to absolutely breathe into the belly as our default breathing. This triggers our parasympathetic nervous system. The relaxation response calms the nervous system. The nervous system is going to release all those wonderful health-building hormones, those feel-good hormones like serotonin. So we want to stay in the relaxation response rather than the sympathetic, which is the stress response. And it will be, when we're in the stress response, we go into fight or flight, and all those stress hormones are released, which cause illness. So let's stay in this, breathing into this lower belly and giving ourselves the best opportunity we can to have our body rest in relaxation. Just continuing to breathe through the belly. Becoming fully present, noticing where your body's connected to the earth, where your body is in time and space. And continuing to breathe into that lower belly. And take this moment now to dive inside to your energy body, which is inside of you. It also expands out further, but we access it by going in and feeling it within and feeling the aliveness, the dynamic energy field within us, the pulsations, the vibrations, the moving of energy, the warmth, the cool. So dive in and notice for yourself what's going on inside your body. Just check in. Notice what it's like to be you inside, this deeper self, this energetic self. It's deeper than thoughts. Contains those emotions. Not quite in samadhi yet. We're just resting in the pratyahara, pranamaya kosha, moving into the manamaya kosha a little bit. Just connect with the inner being. This is the eternal self that has had many bodies, far more than our thoughts, than our emotions. It's a deeper self, the unchanging self. Everything about the body and the thoughts and the emotions are ever changing. So we know that's not us, because what we are is a permanent, unchanging presence. So we're trying to dive deep and connect with that deeper part of ourselves. And take this moment now to set an intention for yourself. Plant that seed in the fertile ground of your consciousness and bless it. And come back. Beautiful. Beautiful job. So we're going to be moving into a hip opener flow this morning. And I invite you to, most definitely, if you need to move out of a pose a little sooner, please, you have permission to do that. If you want to hold a pose for a little longer, you have permission to do that as well. So this is your practice, always honoring your body. And yoga, we're not supposed to be ever experiencing pain. So if you move into pain, please back off. Please back off. Thank you. And we're going to try to play our edge today. So if we want to make this time that we're providing ourselves, this is a time where we're with ourselves, this is our gift to ourselves. We're going to invite all the thought processes to just leave for now. They can come back after practice. We're going to stay connected to the body and to the inner, deeper self. So we're going to be in the felt sense, the subtle body. And if thought starts to come, that's okay. That's okay. Just label them thinking and dismiss them until after the practice. Even if they're good thoughts, it doesn't matter, good or bad. We're going to practice on the mat today, not moving into that mental chitta, the diversions and distractions of the mind. We're staying present to the moment, to our bodies, and to especially this inner subtle being inside. That's where we want to really connect with. And so as we use this time the best, we play the edge. So I like to use the rubber band analogy. If you have a rubber band and it's just loosey and goosey, it's not gonna get any improvement or anything. If you stretch it way out so far, it might snap. You don't want to snap or pull a muscle. But if you keep it at a nice gentle tension, then you're inviting your body to open up. You're giving your body the opportunity to use this time very wisely so that you're a little tiny bit more flexible every day. And before you know, if you're practicing regularly, all of a sudden you realize, wow, I'm so much more flexible than when I began. And it happens very gradually over time, and it becomes quite amazing. So just play the edge for yourself today. Feel that, play that your tension. So you feel some sensation, a little bit of stretch. You're not forcing, but you're not being lazy and not putting forth any effort at all. So we're going to begin with our head rolls. So we're going to nice and gently and slowly move that head around. And as you do this, I invite you to really be present to sensation in your neck, in your shoulders, the front of the neck, the back of the neck, the head, the upper back. Just noticing what's there for you, knowing that you can always kind of massage a spot that's a little tender. Keeping that breath flowing. And then let's begin to go the other direction with the neck, nice and slowly, being very attentive to the sensations as you move to these gentle, slow neck rolls, noticing sensation, keeping that breath flowing, getting more and more present to your physical body. every practice and every pose, you feel safer, more embodied, more connected, and more friendly with your physical body. This temporary learning tool. And coming back to center. Beautiful job. Let's move into some spinal rocks here. Some pelvic grinds, I mean. Moving around the body, the pelvis. And again, noticing the sensations in your body. If there's any. And really enjoying and basking in those sensations. Keeping the breath flowing. Moving the torso around the pelvis. And let's go the other direction. Keeping the breath flowing, basking in sensation. And if thoughts come up, you just bring your awareness back to the sensation in your body. That's where we want to be. And coming back to center, and let's move into some cat cows, seated cat cows. So as we move into our cow, we're going to arch the back, open the chest, lift the head slightly. And as you move into your cat, we're going to round that back, bring the head to looking in towards the thighs or the belly. And I like to inhale into my cow and exhale into my cat. Flexion and extension of the spine. Beautiful. Let's come back to center. Just do a gentle twist. Bring the right hand to the left knee. We can bring the left hand behind. Inhaling up and exhaling as you gaze over the left shoulder. Inhaling and lengthening the spine and exhaling, gazing over. And one more time. And release. A little counter pose to the other side. And then let's take that left hand on the right knee, right hand behind. Inhaling, lengthening, and exhaling, twist. Gazing out over that right shoulder. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist. And coming back to center, beautiful job. Let's move into our Vatakanasana. This is a hip opener. I'm going to bring the feet together, bring the hands around the feet, and bring those heels in a little more towards yourself. And let's first begin with some flapping of the butterfly wings. Flapping those wings a little bit. And I want to speed up a little bit. And then slow down. Beautiful. Let's go into our Vatakanasana butterfly or bow. So we're going to inhale as we lengthen the spine. And exhale, hinging forwards. So you're going to be hinging forward. You're going to be listening to your hips and finding that edge. And just gently resting on that edge. And breathe. And see now if you can hinge a little bit deeper. And then breathe. Beautiful, and gently and kindly coming up. Let's move into a Carrow Pose. So the Carrow Pose you can do a couple different ways. You can just sit on your, bring yourself right onto your calf muscles here. So you're just sitting on your calves. And sometimes it helps to put a cushion underneath between the hamstrings and the calves. I think that's a little helpful. And if you'd like to go into a full hero, you can bring each foot out and be sitting down on the floor like this. And this is another time where you can put that cushion underneath. It makes it a little more comfortable. We're going to show you some modifications for some of these hip openers. And then, one of the things you can do with Carrow Pose, I'm going to do it just without the cushion, is you can do supine Carrow Pose. And I only invite you to do this if it feels good. So coming down, and you rest your hands on the feet. You can nice and slowly bring the body down if that feels comfortable. And a really nice opening in the, especially these quadriceps, middle in the hips. Taking a couple breaths here, and wherever you are, you may be halfway, maybe on your forearms. And then coming all the way up. Back to a seated position. And let's move into fire log. I know this is a little challenging for some people, but we can also use some block or a cushion. What I like to do is I like to bring the feet out in front. Just bring those feet out in front and open up. Let's open up this right leg. Perfect. And we're going to bend the left leg in. And we're going to try to keep this shin parallel to the front of the mat as best we can. And then we're going to take this right leg and we're going to stack the ankles over the knees. So my ankle here is right over my knee. And here, right on the knee. Now, there's a lot of space here. So you can use a cushion. You can also use a block. So there's a little less. And then we're going to take the feet and we're going to flex them. We're going to take the feet and we're going to flex them. And then we really feel the pose. So I invite you to simply sit in this pose for 3 breaths and relax and feel the sensation, the opening of the hips. Beautiful. And let's release this and move to the other side. So we're going to bring both feet out. We're going to take that left leg out to the side and bend that right leg in and have that so it's lined right up along the mat, parallel to the mat, and then take this left leg and stacking ankle to knee, flexing those feet, nice and flexed. That'll create more sensation, more for the pose. And let's just inhale, lengthen, and breathe. And letting it go. Beautiful. All right, let's release the legs. Let's flop them out in front of us a little and she'll wiper them. Beautiful. We're really going to be opening the hips today. So we're going to move into Mandukasana. Manduk. Manduk. I always remember this. It's frog pose because frog is like a Manduk. Look at that. Manduk. Manduk frog. Manduk. So Manduk Asana is frog pose. And there's a couple frog poses. But the hip opener frog pose is the most challenging, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So first thing we're going to do with our Mandukasana is let's get on our hands and knees, kind of like a table, but we're going to start to walk those knees out wide. So the knees are out wide. Then we're going to take the feet, walk in the way. We're going to take the lower leg and the feet, and we're going to bring them out wider than our knees. And the feet are flexed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hinge those hips back. Hinge them back a little bit. I can't go back very far. I feel a lot of sensation right here. So just hold that edge and engage that Mula Bandha if you can and breathe. Keep edging those hips back a little bit. Sometimes I want to creep forward. This is frog. Manduk Konasana. Manduk Konasana. Keeping the breath flowing, coming back, center. Let's bring those legs and knees back into position. And let's move into a little child's pose here and take a little rest. Opening up the knees and bringing the belly in and just taking a few breaths here and rest. And gently coming up. And we're in a table. Let's get into a table pose. And so the knees are right under the hips and the hands are right under the shoulders. So we're in that really nice alignment. So we set our foundation and let's go into a little cat-cow here. Cow, we're going to arch the back, stick the tailbone out and lift the head. Inhale in our cow. In our cat, we're going to tuck the tailbone under, round the back, and the head is going to come looking towards the thighs and the belly. Exhaling in our cat. Inhaling in cow as we arch the back, extension of the spine, and exhaling into cat as we feel that flexion of the spine. Taking your opportunity now to make some circles with the hips while you're in a cat. Just feeling that nice sensation. Nice big circles. Opening up the body. And let's go the other direction. Keeping that breath flowing. and coming back to center. And let's move into a little threading the needle before we move into our pigeon, our Kapontasana. So we're going to lift that right arm up and then scoop it right under the left armpit, resting on the right shoulder, and breathe. Beautiful. On your next inhale, coming up, lifting that arm back up, opening the heart, and bringing it back. And we are going to take the left arm up, opening up the heart. And we're going to scoop that right under the right armpit, resting on the shoulder of the left arm. You can be resting on the side of your head, the left side of your head, and breathe. And inhaling up and coming back to your table. So we're going to do a few things here. First, we're going to move into our pigeon. And so here we are, we're pretty set up here. And you can open your hands a little wider. And let's begin by taking that right knee up, right to the hands, and then moving this right lower leg. And if you can get it parallel to the front of the mat, that's the ultimate goal. This back left leg is extending back. So see how far back you can extend that. You can bring your hands right here to the front. You can use a block. It's a good modification. And then you want to remember in your pigeon, you don't want to be rolling over onto the hips. So you want to be balancing. And that's where you're going to feel that great sensation in your hip here, in this hip. And so just resting in this beautiful Kapontasana, pigeon, and breathe. You can engage that Mula Bandha if you like, all the bandhas. Beautiful. Let's bring those hands a little wider now. Let's release that right leg back. And we've got to go on the other side to even out the body. So we're going to take that left knee up towards the hands, moving that left leg so it's 90 degrees towards this mat. Extending that back leg back as much as you can. Bringing the hands right in front, or if you need a block, you use a block. Remembering we're not wanting to roll over onto that left hip, so we're going to be balancing the body. You can also come down to your forearms if you like. Some people like to extend all the way. Bring your head down. And breathe. And gently and kindly coming up. And we're going to bring that left leg back. So again, we're in our tabletop. And we're going to move into a lunge and a blaster pose. Now, a modification for this is this back knee. You can put a little blanket underneath it. Sometimes for people when they have that knee, nice little cushion. Something kind of like this. You can also use a towel. Sometimes that helps people's knees when you're moving into the lunge. So I don't need that. I'm going to move it, but that's just an option for you, a modification. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move into a nice low lunge. So try to keep this front knee right over the ankle. And then we're going to move that back knee back a little bit. And then begin to hinge forward. And you can use your blocks if you need your blocks. Giving a nice hinging forward so you're feeling that opening of this. I have my left leg back, so I'm feeling the stretch in this left hip. Just enjoying that nice deep stretch on the left hip. Not forcing, but playing your edge. And breathe. One more breath. Beautiful. And we're going to take the right hand and bring in on the inside. So you got both hands on the inside of the right foot. So we're moving into more of a blaster pose. Move that knee back a little bit. Now again, you can use a block for this. We're going to hinge forward to feel that sensation in the hip. Another option I've seen, another modification I've seen with blaster pose is, and I have this little chair here, is a chair. I've seen people use this. So if you're struggling with your blaster pose, you can actually come up onto a chair and then hinging forward. And let's engage those bandhas and breathe. This actually feels very good. One more breath. Beautiful. Let's come back and let's switch legs. So move back into our table for a moment. We're going to bring the left leg up. Right knee over the left leg. We're going to bring that right knee back a little. Remember, if you need a little cushion under that, a towel or a blanket, you can use that. Let's move into lunge first as we hinge forward. Feeling a nice opening of that right hip in the lunge. Vatakanasana. And breathe. Engage those bandhas and bring in the prana. And then coming back. And let's take the left hand and bring that in. So the left and right hand are on the inside of the left foot. And we're going to move into blaster. So you might want to bring that knee back just a little bit. Both arms on the inside. Remembering you can use a block if you need, and you can use this chair. A chair if you have a chair handy. This actually is quite a nice modification. And hinging forward, open up that right hip now, and engage those bandhas and breathe. One more breath. Beautiful. Releasing down, coming back into a table position. I'm going to move the chair back to its spot. And let's move into child's pose for a moment and just give ourselves a little break and integrate some of these nice deep hip openers. Beautiful. You're coming up We're going to move into Camel. Camel is a nice hip opener, especially when we move those hips forward so they're right over those knees. Really opens the hips. So let's coming to the front of our mats, very front top of our mat, and we're going to come up onto our knees. And the first thing we're going to do is tuck that tailbone under so we open up the spaces in the lumbar. Bringing the hands to the small of the back, lifting the heart, keeping that head in alignment with the spine. We're not going to drop the head, keeping it in alignment, and bringing those hips so they're right over the knees. Elbows are coming towards each other, and breathe. So this can be your full camel. If you'd like to either come down to your heels, or what I like to do is come up on my toes and then come down to my heels. And then once you're on your heels, if you want to challenge yourself this move, you got to move those hips back over the knees. That's when you're going to feel the hip opener. And engage those bandhas and breathe. Beautiful job. And then coming up. And we're going to come to a seated position and move into Spinal Rocks. So we're going to get ourselves down onto the floor. So let's move into those Spinal Rocks. And those hands behind the knees, right on that lower part of the hamstring, and rocking back. Feeling a nice massage on those spinal muscles, on the kidneys, the whole back. If you don't have enough cushion, just come gently down onto your back. And coming down onto our back. Beautiful. So we are going to move into a bridge. And then we're going to move into a supine Vatakanasana, a baby pose, and then we're going to move into our releases. So we really want enough time to do all our releases today because we've been really working the hips, and we want to release these hips at the end of the practice before Savasana. So I invite you to press into the feet, lift those hips up halfway, and then nice and slowly coming all the way down. And again, pressing into the feet, lifting those hips up halfway, and taking a breath or two here, just noticing sensation as the whole pelvis is just suspended. It's a great sensation we don't get to feel very often. And then when we're ready, coming down one vertebrae at a time, those upper thoracics to the lower thoracics, like a string of pearls. And then this next time, we're going to press into the feet. We're going to lift those hips, and we're going to arch the back up. And we're going to come onto our shoulders underneath us. Clasp the hands underneath us. The knees are going to stay hip width apart into a nice bridge. And engage those bandhas and breathe. One more nice deep breath, lifting up a little higher. And on the exhale, releasing the hands, releasing the shoulders, and coming down one vertebra at a time. And when you're all the way down, let's bring those knees into the chest and rock back and forth a little just to release and relax that lower back. This is a nice counter pose for bridge. Beautiful. We're going to move into Vatakanasana. So we're going to bring those feet together and the hands around the outside of the feet. And nice first thing to do is kind of rock back and forth a little. And coming back to center, just hugging those feet in towards the body as you feel the hips open on both sides simultaneously. And engage those bandhas and breathe. Beautiful job. So if you can open those legs up a little for a nice little stretch. And like an upside down balancing bear. And rock back and forth a little, just feeling the stretch in the legs. Keeping the breath flowing. And the feet are already wide out, the knees are wide out. Let's bend those knees. So we get into our baby pose. And we are going to, the feet are looking right up at the sky. And then pulling those legs in so the knees are coming in towards the armpits. And feeling your edge, finding that nice edge for you where you're feeling sensation. And breathe, feeling that nice hip opener. And baby. And rolling around in Untitled, happy baby. So moving and stretching. And if there's a pose you needed or something your body feels it needs to do, this is the time to do it. You can either continue to roll around in Untitled, happy baby, or you can do a pose that your body is craving right now. Or you can just start setting up into our releases position with the knees up, feet flat on the floor. And when you're ready, we're going to have the feet flat onto the floor. Knees are up, and we're going to move into our hula. So we're going to feel the hips swiveling. Everything stays flat on the earth. And you're going to feel the one hip drop down towards the heel, the other is coming up towards the armpit, and then you swivel to the other side. Just alternating as you swivel those hips. We're releasing and relaxing everything in this low back and in the hip area. So we go into Savasana, we're really comfortable. We've really been opening our hips in this practice. So we want to remember to do all these releases today. So we're going to come back to center and we're going to move into hip pointer. So I'm going to start with my left hip. I'm going to point them. I'm going to keep the right hip firmly rooted into the earth. The left hip lifts up and points diagonally up towards the sky. And this left butt cheek lifts up a little too. And then relaxing it down. And then going to the other side. Right hip lifts up. And that nice gentle twist. Just a little bit of a twist in this one, which just feels really good. And just continuing to go from side to side, pointing each hip one at a time up towards the sky and relaxing it down. These are nice, slow, repetitive movements. You can keep that breath flowing. The spine is gently engaged. Our final releases. Let's do one more. And finishing up again, so you're flat on your back is flat on the earth. And we're going to move into Supine Cat Cow. So we're going to go into some flexion and extension of the spine while we're laying on our back. So let's do our cat first. So feel the small of the back press into the earth, into your mat. Tailbone is tucked under. And then as we go into our cow, we're going to feel that lumbar spine, that small of our back, that lumbar spine is going to arch up off the earth. Now some people, their back doesn't arch up off, but their spine is arched up off. That's what's important. And then moving back down. Back and forth into your cat-cow, flexion and extension of the spine in the supine position. Keeping that breath flowing, those bandhas engaged, and enjoy this nice release. And let's do one more each way. One more cat, one more cow. And coming back to center. And we're going to move into single knee drops. So we're going to keep these knees bent. And the feet are flat on the floor, but we're going to move the feet further away from each other until those feet get over, all the way over to the wide edges of the mat. Beautiful. Knees are up. And we're going to drop one knee at a time down in towards the center. Releasing it up. One knee at a time in towards the center. And finding your edge, nice gentle edge. We're just releasing now. You want to feel a little sensation. Keeping the breath flowing, bandhas engaged, and move into this nice gentle release. Slow, repetitive movements. Fully present to yourself. Sensations. Sensations in the body. It's how we become more and more embodied. Knowing we're not this body, but we're going to use this tool, this learning device, to our highest capacity. To teach only love while we're here for this blink of an eye. Enjoying sensation, getting to feel a really great sense of self-love towards yourself. For this practice today on the mat, for taking time to be with you, a deeper part of you. Let's go one more time on either side. And we'll come back to neutral. Beautiful job. Knees are up, and we're going to just start walking those feet back to hip width apart. Beautiful job. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drop both knees over to one side. Lifting that top knee up. Nice and slowly coming over to the other side. And there's going to be a point where all of a sudden that other leg is going to come and meet it on the other side. And then we're going to lift the top leg up and gently bringing it over to the other side, allowing the bottom leg to come up, and we'll get both stacked on the same side, and continuing this at your own pace, your own rhythm, noticing sensations, being fully present to yourself, keeping the breath flowing. And then finally, Bringing both knees up. And let's bring those knees into the chest for a final release of the lower back, rocking back and forth. And gently and kindly bring the legs down. Finding your Savasana, where you're comfortable. Extending the legs out, the arms alongside, and just being in a nice relaxed position for Savasana. This is our time to allow all the energies of the practice to integrate deeply into our being, mind, body, and spirit. So relaxing on your mat, on the earth, feeling that support of the earth, feeling the earth holding your body, supporting your body, and feeling all the muscles letting go completely, relaxing, releasing all tension and all holding. Feeling the whole body sink a little deeper into the earth, become a little heavier, more and more relaxed. Feeling the bones become heavier and sink in towards the earth. Deep relaxation. Feel the entire nervous system and the brain relax deeply. So we rest in silence for a few minutes. Beginning to take a nice deep breath into the belly. So we come back and wiggling the fingers and the toes. Stretching out the arms and the legs. A nice stretch. And when you're ready, rolling over to one side or the other. And a nice deep breath, and when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. In taking this moment now, I'm in Haikini hand mudra. All my fingers and my thumbs are connected. It's my favorite one. Helps with brain power, but it also keeps the whole body circuitry closed and connected. And it every meridian. This is a good balance for the meridians as well. So closing the eyes, you have a hand mover of your choice. You can use that. It's not necessary. And let's dive in and check inside, scanning the inner being, the inner aliveness, noticing maybe even any little shifts or changes from when we checked in first thing this beginning of practice. And bringing yourself back to that intention you set at the beginning of practice and reaffirming that, bringing some attention to it, maybe watering that seed that you placed in your consciousness. As you sit in meditation, I will a little drum and see if the little chant, spontaneous chant arises. Thank you so much for joining me for Ecstatic Yoga, our hip opening flow. So happy you're here. Please check out our website. We have a fall teacher training coming up. It is a hybrid. It is mostly online, but we have 4 5-hour immersions in person. So it has worked very well this spring. We have 15 graduates that will be graduating shortly, and so excited. Love for you to join us. We also have the Earth 2022, May 7th, Saturday, May 7th. That's an online global meditation for peace. Please join us online or in person at John's Place in Murray, Utah. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, of light, of truth, and of peace. When I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, we are one. Namaste. Wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day. And please join us for Rapture Meditation. That'll be coming up in just a few minutes.